Hello, and welcome back to the Taylor Seminars, where we talk about how Taylor Swift turns life into poetry. My name is Hannah. I'm here with my co host, Exquisite. How are you doing?
Hi, Hannah. I'm doing good.
She's lying through her teeth because she is not doing good because we're about to talk about So Long London.
No, I know. And if the people who follow me all know, like, they're just like, oh, here we go. She goes again. She's about to tweet, I didn't sign up to be your odd man actors.
So,
And just me angry.
so angry. So, just so you guys know, we are recording this episode early as well because of some scheduling stuff.
Mm,
If anything comes out about So Long London in the interim, our bad, but probably nothing too crazy. Yeah, this is the infamous track five that Taylor Swift loves to put in her albums. If you
I
don't
know.
know, she puts her most, I guess, vulnerable song, like the song that has like
Yeah.
a lot of emotional heft, as the track five in her albums. She's pretty much done it consistently throughout her career.
Yeah. And technically on TTPD, we got two track fives.
That's right.
We have So Long London, and then we have How Did It End? And it's kind of crazy how they complement each other. We will not be talking about How Did It End today, but yeah. And I am like hesitant to say this because I'm like recency bias, even though it's been a month. So Long London is up there as one of her best track fives of all time, I think.
And I think it's such a unique song. We're going to talk about this, like
Yeah,
how its song
it's so
structure is
unique,
very different from what she normally does. And
so unique.
yeah, and I think this is the one where everyone knew would be very scathing. Like she's gonna like
Yeah.
say a lot here, and she did not disappoint.
She didn't disappoint. I think it was a little shocking for some people because it's an interesting song. We'll get into it. We'll get
Yeah, hold
into
on.
it.
I'm just trying to see how long the track is. But this is one
Almost
of her ones with
like
Aaron
long,
Dessner.
right? Like
I think it
five
is
minutes.
long. Excuse me. It's
It's 4
4:23,
minutes 23 seconds.
so
We
not
figured
that
it
long.
out.
But
Yeah,
it is,
it's 4 minutes,
yeah, not one of her fives, but still very
and
long.
it's an Aaron Dessner track five, and so the last one we got of that was Tolerated.
Correct. Which was also a very devastating song about a
Yeah,
deteriorating relationship.
and actually, we're definitely gonna circle back to Tolerated.
Oh, yeah.
We're so gonna circle back.
I do think that it's interesting. I have the TTPD manuscript version um, lyric booklet in front of me, and it says so long, and then London is like upside down. And to me, I was like,
Ooh,
that's a very interesting graphic design choice of like her world turning upside down.
I think that's cool.
And then it also has the lyrics, and my friend said it isn't right to be scared every day of a love affair, are written in her handwriting.
I'm going to start screaming.
Not
That's the
yet.
line that makes me start screaming.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the album on a bigger level. What other thoughts do you
Okay.
have?
I think this one being placed where it's placed, I think is so interesting because we have it after the two, and I'm just gonna call them twin songs, the two cooking songs, um,
Yes.
of Down Bad and My Boy. So we have the type of state she's in, because the album isn't necessarily in chronological order, but it is in a particular order that I think is interesting. I think more will come to light as we talk about it in total, like it as a whole, as we view the album as a whole once we're done going piece by piece. Um, but I think it's super interesting for us to see like where she is after she's like been broken down enough and get this. I think this is we get this very angry song. I would even go so far as to be like maybe even a little bitter. And it's interesting because in both Down Bad and My Boy, we have this pleading and we have a little bit of anger in Down Bad, and we have some irritation and anger in My Boy as well, where she's like, we could have played for keeps this time. Fuck you if I can't have us type thing. But this is where we finally see that like full anger of being abandoned and treated like a toy really come out we're at a I'll call this like a vomity track from like drinking. We're at a
Oh,
vomity.
we have talked before about how she like has taken like shots, right, and then like
Yeah.
spewed out these songs, and I think, yeah, and obviously, yeah, let's talk a little bit about the production before we go into the lyrics. So we have in the beginning these beautiful bell-like sounds where Taylor does these vocalizations with "So Long London." What did you think about the bells?
I heard that and immediately I was like, uh-oh, we are in so much danger here. Because my immediate thought of that opening is like London bells, obviously.
I thought the same.
And then I was like, wedding bells? Death march bells? Question mark? Tolling the death bell? Like I was like, oh, okay. She's signaling an ending, or she's like literally she's setting us into place. And then and it's so interesting how she doesn't immediately start singing after she does the bells. We get the ramp up.
Yeah, let's
But
go ahead.
it's a ramp up that never stops. The whole time, the entire undercurrent of the song, it's just like this ramping.
Yeah,
It just
I
never
it reminds me a lot of like I think I texted you like a runaway train or just
ends.
something like driving without end and it's constant and it's this churning. Even another way I described it to you was like water that's just simmering, like that
I
doesn't
know.
boil over, but it's just but that water is like it's like moving, it's hot, and I think it really symbolizes like some of the anger that's happening.
I also wrote some notes because oh my goodness, maybe I'll share a picture of like because I took a picture of my notes where you can't actually see what is written, but you can see all the red. So I took some notes about bells and I was like, okay. And also there's this really interesting thing about the bells during World War II. At the end, they were banned in London from being sounded. And then in oops, I dropped my phone. But they were banned from being played or like that was what was said. And so they were all the church bells were silenced in Great Britain and they were only supposed to use to alert troops that something bad was coming or that the enemy was invading or whatever. And then the bells were allowed to toll after the war ended to like signify that it was over, like that the end has come. They were to announce the ending of the war and to declare peace or just that it was over. So I think that's interesting. I think it's really interesting if we see like this as not a continuation of the Great War, because we know the Great War had an end and they were planting their little poppies or whatever, but as a like, oh, war, the second war that ended in death, which
No,
we'll get to.
yeah, I do love like this idea that the Great War was like the first war, and you thought, right? I think originally it was called the War to End All Wars when they were like, It's
Mhm.
over, like it's not gonna happen." And then literally just a couple decades later, you have World War II, which was even more devastating and
Yeah,
deadly, and that's crazy.
I know. And you guys, oh my goodness, I just have so much to say about this song. Like every line is packed. Every verse is so packed. Like it's kind of disgusting how every verse is packed.
Yeah,
Like she distresses me.
yeah. So we're gonna take this podcast really slow. And we hopefully we won't interrupt each other too much, but there is a
Yeah.
lot to talk about. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, do you want let me start. Um,
Okay.
so we'll skip the So Long London part because we just kind of talked about it,
Yeah.
but we'll go in for the next. I saw in my mind fairy lights through the mist. I kept calm and carried the weight of the rift, pulled him in tighter each time he was drifting away. My spine split from carrying us up the hill. Wet through my clothes, weary bones caught the chill. I stopped trying to make him laugh, stopped trying to drill the safe. Then I keep going, right?
Um,
Or do you want to stop
can
here?
you go all the way down to you'll find someone? Because
Oh,
I
just
think all
just
that
I'll
should
go all the way down. Okay.
yeah, go all the way down to you'll find someone.
Thinking, how much sad did you think I had? Did you think I had in me? Oh, the tragedy. So long, London. You'll find someone.
I think it's important that it's read all the way through to that part because there's no chorus here.
Ooh.
There isn't a chorus.
We talked about how it's having a weird structure.
Yeah, like there's no chorus in this song. She's just like, if you and you'll notice like when you try to sing along with her, it's super hard because she's not breathing either. She's just like, I gotta get this out.
She's in a flow state.
Exactly. She's like flowing and it's she's got this weird, I don't know how to describe how she is delivering other than she's just going. Like she took in one breath and then went.
Yeah.
Um yeah, okay. There's literally so much packed, literally from line one. Hannah, you want to say something about line one
Okay.
before I
All right.
you can
So I saw in my mind fairy lights through the mist. So if you don't know, fairy lights. Oh, let me no back up. I saw in my mind. I think Taylor
uh-huh.
Swift in this album does a lot of escaping, a lot of
Mhm.
imagining, and right. So even
Uh-huh.
here in this moment, right, like Lunar Valley's in my mind, and I hate it near where she, like Secret Garden, she escapes to. But here she's trying to. She's not escaping. She's seeing another version of her reality
Yeah.
where I saw in my mind fairy lights through the mist. Oh, so she, yeah, sorry. She is kind of escaping in a way because she wants to see this beauty, perhaps. She's trying to see. So, fairy lights are another way, is Christmas lights. And so little Christmas garlands. And then through the mist. So mist to me it always reminds me of like foggy London, right?
Yes.
You're in a place, right? So she is looking in her mind. She sees Christmas lights in London. It's supposed to be this beautiful thing, but what exquisite?
Well, no, wait, no, wait. I was okay,
No, no,
listen.
I'm not saying sorry, not saying you did anything, but I'm saying, but what is actually
Yeah,
happening? Like, what are some
I
of the
know.
things?
I know. Okay, because I have things to say. But also, if we say Christmas lights, fairy lights, there is a line in Lover, literally opening lines of Lover is we could keep the Christmas lights up till January. So we could. So like we this is something we could do. And then you open this with I saw in my mind fairy lights. Like she was like, in the future I could see these fairy lights. So it was
Girl,
like
that's a crazy connection to love
okay,
her.
I know, but also, okay, so what I was going to say is I was also looking at the term fairy lights, and I was first of all, that gives me this image of like this really missing, you see something in the distance that's kind of like hope. And I was thinking of like fairies, literally fairies, because I was a fairy child. I was a lot of things child, but I was a fairy kid, obviously. Um, and I think Taylor was too with all the Peter Pan references, but that's neither here nor there. And so I was thinking about the Will of the Wisps, which are like big in European folklore, and they are like very connected to fate. And it is like in things that are impossible to get, but you can follow them and perhaps you can if you've seen Brave, it's like, what would you do to change your fate? That was a terrible Scottish accent. I don't know how to do one. But it's just very interesting to me to be like, okay, so she sees these will o' the wisps in the distance because that's how when they would be seen. They would be seen in like foggy terrain, and if you follow them, like you're trying to achieve like maybe a hollow fate or um so I think it fits so much to me because Taylor has this idea of fate that she feels things are destined. She even says it in the poem where she was like, she wanted them to be fated, even though they were probably just fated to end and not fated to be together forever.
That's a great
So
connection.
yeah. So in her mind, she's like, I see the fate. I see if I can get through if we can get to the end of this mist, if I can reach them through that mist. And mist is like the idea of fog. And then also because in that very next line, which also is super pat, but the two lines below that, and because I'll just have to circle back to it, the mist, and then we bring up that ship reference, the pulled tighter when he was drifting away. Um, so we have this first ship imagery of the song, and that immediately made me think of Willow. And Willow is like it was also she got a lot of fog going on in Willow, but she there was like license fog and there was witches, and she was like doing all these things to be like um and this was the first time I think that was one of the first times that she referred to him as a ship, where she was like, I'm like the water when your ship rolled in that night.
Yeah.
So before his ship rolled right up to them, and now he's drifting away, and she's the one that's like holding him close.
That is
I
so
just
sad.
I love that opening line. But in the context of the song, she's like, yeah, like you said, she saw, so past tense, so she used to try and reach for those fairy lights through the mist. Um, do you want to do? I kept calm and carried the weight of the rift. What's going on there?
So keep calm and carry on is a very common saying. So it's on all sorts of shirts, right? And so I looked,
Hmm.
so I was like, oh, like I wonder what the what is it? What's the word? Like the where it comes from, like where this phrase comes from, and it's. Did you know it is British wartime propaganda during World War II? And I was like, excuse me? So it's one of three terms that they like tried to push to kind of keep up the morale. It was keep calm and carry on. Like you were getting bombed. You like Europe is being overrun by Nazi Germany, and
Uh-huh.
what you should do is keep calm and carry on. And the British are known for having like a stiff upper lip, like just like bear it and keep going. So I think it's part of that too. And I was gagged when I read that when I was researching this, and I was like,
Do you, yeah, yeah. And do you know what's interesting about the keep calm and carry on thing?
"What?
Is that it was a failed piece of propaganda only because it disappeared. It didn't catch on, which is
Yeah,
hilarious until it was rediscovered in 2000, and then
yeah."
it was everywhere.
So
But
it's like millennials like resurrected it.
exactly, like literally. And then also, it's like there's a term I really liked when I looked it up as well, and they called it like a message of sober restraint. So I'm like, I just like that.
Yeah, and
Um,
but I love the way that she twist, right, this is what she loves to do, twist phrases. Like she kept calm and carried, not just carried on, but carried the weight of the rift, like
yeah,
this.
she couldn't just carry on like normal. It was heavy. It was heavy trying to carry
And
on
that
like normal.
reminds me of Tolerated, where she sings like, gain the weight of you and lose it, like this
Yeah,
literal heaviness. And then a rift, as if you don't know, it's basically a rip, right, like a division. And so
like it's
yeah, so it's so sad. And then pulled him
yeah.
in tighter each time he was drifting away. Any other things about those two lines?
Um, you can see her like she's telling you why she was like it was heavy. She had to do the pulling in of the rope to keep his boat tethered to her shore. It's not his waves aren't just meeting her shore ever and ever more. Hello, Evermore connection.
Oh no, Evermore,
It's not
Evermore. Oh, you mean the album Evermore? Yes, from Long Story Short.
yeah, yes. So literally it used to I guess it used to feel like just waves coming in, like long story short it was a bad time but we survived and now his waves meet my shore. But no, she has to hold him in so his waves don't just go away, so he
Yeah,
doesn't just drift away. She used to do all the work and I'm already getting mad. Anyway. Anyway,
yeah.
I
So
think
the
that's
next
the
line is, "My spine split from carrying us up the hill." We'll do the two lines. "Wet through the
yeah.
clothes, weary bones caught the chill."
When Taylor describes something sinking into her bones, like just how that means she just felt it so deep. Like know how wet you have to be in a storm, which one we get more storm imagery, obviously. But I'm also like wondering if she's wet because she's been out in this mist so long, in this fog. And so she's
Oh.
been there so long, she's so damp, like it's gotten to her bones. And also this is the first image of violence we've gotten in this song so far. The my spine split. Like she's been doing so much work, her literal back broke. Like she was carrying them up the hill. And I'm also getting a Sisyphus imagery.
Yes. Explain
Um,
Sisyphus.
okay, so Sisyphus was punished by the gods. In he's a Greek mythology, and Taylor's a Greek myth nerd, as we know from Cassandra, which we'll get into if you guys didn't realize that Cassandra's a reference to another Greek myth. But he was punished so that every single day he has to roll a boulder up a hill. But right when he reaches the top of the hill, right when he can see the fairy lights, right when he can almost touch the fairy lights, let's say that, through the mist, it rolls back down and he has to start all over.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I love this image, like spine split. It sounds like it's breaking. Spine split with those strong P's after the S.
You know,
And then she kind of keeps the S kind of going. Her clothes, bones, stopped, safe. So I think there's the even the way she rhymes things. We'll get to that at the end of the
yeah,
stanza. But I'm also just like, uh, catching the chill, caught the chill is also it means she's sick. So if you don't know, like
yeah,
when you get chilled, and later we're gonna see her getting color back into her face, right? Like these are obvious signs and symptoms of you should know that she was suffering, right? A broken
yeah.
back, soaking clothes, uh, pneumonia, right?
And obviously he didn't know, but if you relate it right back to "You're Losing Me," she was like, "My face was gray and you couldn't tell that we were sick."
Yeah.
I stopped trying to make him laugh, stopped trying to drill the safe. So like she just compared trying to make him smile as drilling into a safe after comparing like holding him close to her as like going up a hill in like a storm. Like she was like, it was that hard. It was hard as breaking into a bank.
To me, it's like these are why she stopped. Like she was
Yeah.
trying so hard. She had been keeping calm and carrying the weight. All of these things that she'd gone through, the hardships. Like after a certain point, she's like, I can't anymore. So that's why
Like
I stopped.
she had to stop. Like she was broke. What is more? And then immediately following that, it's very important to me that the thinking, she says thinking, and so I want you guys to imagine quotation marks because she tells us what she's thinking. She said as she was doing this, as she stopped trying to make him laugh, she thought, "How much sad did you think I had? Did you think I had in me?" And so that's what she's thinking. And then she goes, "Oh, the tragedy," because it's like she stopped. So this tragedy that she stopped. And then we get "So long, London, you'll find someone." And Taylor does this really interesting thing with this title where she uses "so long" in two different ways. She
Hmm.
uses "so long" as in goodbye, and she uses "so long" as in a long time.
The length.
But this one, yeah, length of time. This one in this very first like intro is goodbye. So I think when we'll say it, I'll just tell you which one I am meaning when I read it. So thinking, how much sad did you think I had? Did you think I had in me? Oh, the tragedy. Goodbye, London. You'll find someone. And this, now that I've said this, I will say, Taylor, who is Taylor addressing, Hannah? When she opens up the song, she opens up the song and she keeps saying he, us. Who is she talking to? Like she's telling somebody this. She's like, I saw this.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, goodbye, London. So that to me is she's signaling for a second, London, the place to me.
Yes.
I'm thinking.
So yeah, I agree. So I have seen lots of interpretations that London is a stand-in for her long-term relationship. Songs like London Boy, where they are very linked. But I totally agree. The fact that she is referring to this person in the relationship as him, he, not directing it towards you. I think in this
Yeah,
one, she's kind of anthropomorphizing London, giving human-like characteristics to a
yeah,
place, and saying,
yes,
"This is why I'm saying goodbye to you, London town, because of how
exactly.
London boy treated me."
Yeah. Because that's why and I think part of her is like London needs she needs to explain herself to London why she's leaving. And then we're going to circle back to this when we get to the end because I think she very explicitly makes it clear she's talking about two different things here. So it will be clear, but just that one part of "oh the tragedy," like a Shakespearean tragedy. She was like, "Oh, the tragedy. Goodbye, London. You'll find someone." So she's like, this is where the "you" is not in the quotations that I make it in for thinking. Like she thinks out loud because she's like, this is what I was thinking while I stopped trying to drill the safe. But then she goes, goodbye, London, you'll find someone. So London, the city, you're going to find someone. And then we get this switch that happens
Hmm.
almost immediately as she keeps going.
Right.
Um,
Because now we don't have him anymore. We have you, right? We have,
and even
she's addressing someone else.
anger, like the tone gets angry. Like in the beginning, it's a little weary. Like she's already mad and she starts ramping up
Yeah.
by this part.
Okay, before we jump into that next section, I just
Yeah.
want to circle back to a couple things that That section, how much sad did you think I had in me? The writing of that is like, the rhythm is so funky, I think. And I love that actually there's another had. It's in
I know.
tragedy. And so for me, like the internal rhymes slash internal almost rhymes that she has throughout this song, that's going to, from the beginning to the end, is really what's also helping with that driving feeling of the production and the push that she's doing. Like every punch and every line. Like, for example, I saw in my mind fairy lights, and then through the mist. And so there's lots of like sounds that just kind of get repeated. Pulled him in tighter each time he was drifting away. Like that one, I feel like
Mhm.
the T's like and tighter time drifting away. Like she's always using different poetic tools to continue to let this be manageable and interesting and easy to remember despite its very complex and dense
Yeah.
material.
Yeah, no, I love the sounds.
As you listen to Exquisite read this next section, try to hear what she's doing to make
Okay.
you understand.
She does it. She literally does it from the first line again. I didn't opt in to be your odd man out. I founded the club she's heard great things about. I left all I knew. You left me at the house by the heath. I stopped CPR after all it's no use. The spirit was gone, we would never come to. And I'm pissed off that you let me give you all that youth for free. I'm mad. I'm already mad. I'm mad. I'm barely keeping it.
Do you want to read that next for so long? Or
Yes. I'm pissed off you let me give you all that youth for free. For so long, London, stitches undone, two graves, one gun. I'll find someone. Um, and this for so long is literally for a long time. You let me give you all that youth for free for a long time, London.
oof. So okay, let's okay now let's circle back to the beginning of it because no guys, we Exquisite and I had texted so much and lots of like lots of feelings. I didn't opt in to be your odd man out. I founded the club she's heard great things about.
We like need to stop. Just like that, I didn't opt in to be your odd man out. She is like, and if we talk in the war imagery, she's like she chose to be a part of this army. Like
Fighting in only your army.
fighting an only army. She opted in. She chose him. And she thought he chose her back. But she said to be your odd man out, which means he was constantly leaving her alone. This is where we get more of that isolation imagery. She's isolated, right? She's made to be the odd person out. She's made to maybe feel a little weird, to feel like she's
Not
making
part of it.
people uncomfortable. She's not a part of the club. And then we literally get I founded the club she's heard great things about. And all throughout TTPD, you will notice there's an ambiguous she. And that's all I'm gonna say on that. Um but she basically is like, hello, I invented you. She wrote him. Is the thing. She's like, I put you in all these stories and I let everyone who doesn't know you know about this great personality you have. And I said like how you have so much integrity. Like I put all this in song. I invented you. I'm the reason people want to check you out because I wrote you, right? But you are making me the odd man out anyway.
And
And then yeah.
and
Oh, go
I
ahead.
feel like there's been an ambiguous amorphous her kind of hovering through a lot of Taylor songs.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Great War, maybe it was her.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is, and I want to. I think this is the one of the few times she's really explicit. Oh, this is as explicit as she gets, I guess, throughout the album. The her, the she, the
Yes,
her.
there's always just a her and a she. She never mentions it, and we're not gonna do anything about that. We're just gonna whenever she brings up an ambiguous her or an ambiguous wife, we'll just be like, oh look, there's an
It's
ambiguous
there.
woman. It's there. We're not gonna deny it.
Yeah,
We don't know how to handle that,
yeah.
but we're not gonna deny it. I like to think that the ambiguous she is because I connect this song to the Great War so badly as like a part two of the Great War that I'm sitting them with the maybe it was her from the Great War as well. Anyway, um, yeah, she's like, I invented you. And um not only did he make her the odd man out, she's like I left all I knew. See, I left a part of me back in New York. Um, you left me at the house by the heath. So left alone, abandoned. He left her in the sandlot.
You know what reminds me of?
Yeah.
To a house that's not a home because nobody's there. And dear reader,
Oh,
right? Like it's
yeah.
it. Oh no, exquisite. If you
I'm
take
okay.
if you take shots when exquisite cries, this is what I knew I would get her with that.
Okay. I'm okay.
So I looked this up, like House by the Heath, because I want to just make sure. So apparently they might have lived there. That's I don't know. I don't really care that much about that. But to me, when I hear Heath, I immediately think of British literature and a lot of the songs, a lot of the novels written with that as the background. So a heath is like a kind of wild land in England. It's all
Mhm.
apparently it's different from moors, but it's like kind of similar. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not from there. You can if you are from England and you want to give us a clarification, please let me know. But it
Yeah.
reminds me a lot of like Jane Eyre because in Jane Eyre there is literally a woman who is locked in the attic of the house and is abandoned by her husband who goes sorry spoiler alert for a
Yeah.
classic but but yeah, like it has this abandoned in this untamed wilderness alone. It has this
Yeah.
really sad connotation.
And then it's also connected to literally in London Boy, and this is about to make me upset as well. The ending lines of London Boy are stick with me, I'm your queen, like a Tennessee Stella McCartney on the heath, just want to be with you. So
Yeah,
then to have just want to be with you to you left me by the house. You
yeah.
left me at the house by the heath, even though she was like, I was your queen. I was your Tennessee Stella McCartney on the heath. And now she's left.
She's left to play solitaire because no one's
Stop.
there.
And then right after we get I stopped CPR after all it's no use. So here's the thing. Are you CPR certified, Hannah?
No, but I've watched lots of videos in high school.
I'm CPR certified and it hurts to do CPR.
Oh yeah,
Like when I tell you it hurts your wrists and it like you're putting so much like it hurts your back, it hurts your shoulders to do CPR. So she was doing CPR until she literally could do no more until her spine split because uh, her spine split from doing CPR and she was like there was no it wasn't working.
yeah. It
There was no
reminds me of "You're Losing Me." I can't find a pulse, right?
yep.
It reminds me of the insummation, right? Like it was house and then cardiac arrest. Although I guess
Mhm.
cardiac arrest could be about the second relationship, but I still think
Yeah.
it's this idea of like it's dead, like dead
Yeah.
and gone and buried.
Giving it's giving in Loss of My Life to still alive, just hanging in the spending time in the cemetery, like it's dead. Um, and I feel like we're also getting this. She's explaining herself, but she's not explaining herself in a way where she's like, I need to defend myself. She's like, listen here, you left me alone. Um, you made me the odd man out, and even though I was doing CPR and doing all this fighting, there was no use. It was dead. Like you left me alone, and then again the spirit was gone. We would never come to, which is more the spirit of the body she's doing CPR on, the like life, the breath that they had once breathed together, like the heartbeat that was once skipping down 16th Avenue, gone.
I would
And
also
it was
say that the spirit could also be like maybe he himself was a ghost, like he was already gone.
yeah,
Like, oh,
yeah.
the layers.
He's haunting the house. He's not even haunting the house. Or maybe she's the spirit that was haunting, you know? She's not even she was not even there anymore. Um, it was never gonna come to, it was never gonna come back. And then we get, she's like, and I'm pissed off. And she's like, and you can feel her rage as she's singing this. And then you could also feel her like heartbreak when she goes youth for free in it. Like it hurts. It hurts my chest to think about. Where she's like the way her voice shatters when she says, "You let me give you all that youth for free," and I'm mad at it because it was free. Like you weren't giving me anything in return. All my like and Taylor, especially when you think of Taylor's relationship to her youth, which is all over TTBD as well. And this is part of like she feels like she gave it away, but she thought she was getting something in return. Like she's had it stolen from her. She's been like, "Give me back my girlhood." And here she doesn't say give it back, but she's like, "I'm mad that I gave it to you, and you didn't give me anything in return."
And it was
And she's like,
for
"I gave
so
you all,
long.
yeah, for a long time. I gave it to you, stitches undone." And if you think about glitch, she's like, "Fastening myself to you with the stitch." She's like, "Nope, those stitches are undone." But also, when you think about stitches, I'm thinking like back to war imagery, like stitching up bloody wounds. So like all the times where she had to keep them together, she was stitching them back so closely. And now she's like, I'm pulling the threads out.
Or they burst,
Yeah.
which is
Or they
even more
burst.
violent imagery.
Yeah, even more violent imagery. Two graves, one gun. So two things have died. The relationship in London for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for me, I agree. I think
he isn't dead. And I would like to assert, and we're gonna get to why I know she isn't dead later because she was dead. This is important. It's going to come back up. Put a pin in that. Put a pin in it. Um, and she goes, "I'll find someone." And I think that is the most like she's like listing all this stuff. She's like, "You know what? I'm gonna find someone else. I'll find someone like out there since we can't get through this."
no, and
Yeah.
this line I texted to Exquisite, and we both had a meltdown. Is so like we said, we think there's two people that she's talking to. There's two. There's the London, this the place, and then the London boy. And before we had for so long London, you'll find someone, but here it's
Mhm.
so long London, I'll find someone. So my
Yeah.
my interpretation is that when she's talking to London boy, she's saying I don't need you. I'm gonna find someone else. Like I
It's
there
that assertion of like autonomy again.
yeah, and it's like it's so much more I think powerful for her to be like, hey, like and not just powerful, like it's angry, like you said before,
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'll find someone and I'm pissed and um it
And
really gives
I'll
that.
find someone who let me give, especially if it comes after you let me give you all that youth for a long time. But I'm gonna find someone. It like you didn't take it all.
Yes.
You didn't take it all. I'm gonna find someone.
Yeah, so
Ugh.
it's so wild that she doesn't want him to find someone, right? Like like for if it were talking to London, maybe it's like, yeah, London, you'll find someone because she's talking to London. But in this one, it's like, I don't care
For
if you
London
find
now, she
anybody.
hopes it's shitty.
Yeah, she hopes it's shitty, very shitty for London boy.
Yeah,
Um,
for London boy, she's like, I hope it's shitty in the Black Dog, okay?
yeah. Do you want me to read the next section?
Um, yes, because if I read it, I'm gonna have a problem.
You need to mute yourself right now so you don't start outbursting during. All right, here we go. And you say, I abandoned the ship, but I was going down with it, my white knuckle dying grip, holding tight to your quiet resentment. And my friends said it isn't right to be scared every day of a love affair. Every breath feels like rarest air when you're not sure if he wants to be there. So, how much sad did you think I had? Did you think I had in me? How much tragedy? Just how low did you think I'd go before I'd self implode, before I'd have to go to be free? Did you mute
Listen,
yourself?
huh?
I didn't hear
No,
you.
I just covered my mouth. Let me tell you guys something. Let me tell you guys something. This is like, oh my God, the rage in this, because even the way she's saying it, like she comes in, and she's like, you said I abandoned it. Like she's like as if there was a response to her. Even in that, like, even in that like part that's like the quasi chorus, where she repeats the how much sad, she goes, instead of thinking, she's not thinking anymore. She's telling him, so how much sad? Like she's directly addressing him. Like she's asking him, how much did you think before I was going to explode? Like no more, oh, the tragedy. How much tragedy could you put on me? But before we even get there, oh my God. So we get the ship metaphor again.
Right.
Mind you, she's already told us how she had to pull that ship in. She told us how much work she did. Um, and she's like, you're telling me I abandoned it? Like, this is where she's like, I'm starting to get pissed because you're saying I left when I would have died. I would have died for you in secret. I was going down with the ship.
Yeah, she
Like,
was like like there's that thing where if you're the captain, you're supposed to go down with the ship, and she was like,
exactly.
I am trying to captain us out, but I am also sinking
Yeah,
now.
implying that she was the mastermind. She had to hold it all together. Like, and you're accusing me, your captain, of abandoning the ship. And this is also how we know that she's still alive. Because she's saying, you're saying I abandoned the ship, right? So she's not the one of the ones in the grave. Like something has died that's sunk. And she's being accused. But she was like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a white knuckle grip or heard that. That means you're holding on so tight.
So tight that your
And she
knuckles
literally,
literally like
yeah,
turn a different color because of the blood is like constricted.
yeah, there's no, like, it's draining. And she's like, it was a dying grip because she would have died if he had fought. She was like, I was holding on to the ship. But then she goes, she's not holding tight. She's like, you're holding tight. Like you were holding tight to your quiet resentment
Yeah, she
while
was
I was holding on to the dying ship.
yeah, she
So
was
she was
holding onto
holding
the
tight.
steering wheel of the ship like
Yeah.
so
And
tightly.
and he was holding on, but not to them. He was holding on to the fact that he hated her quietly.
Oh,
Like your quiet resentment, you were holding on to that. While I was trying to keep us connected. As this connection was breaking down, I was doing all this labor and you hated me. You hate me. And then it's like, and it comes back up in the black dog where she was like, do you hate me? Was it hazing? Like she was like, you quietly hated me. And then the part that really kills me when I tell y'all, okay, so Taylor's friends are really vocal in this album.
mm-hmm.
And
We talked about this in I
she,
think the title track.
yeah, and she goes, and my friends say it isn't right to be scared every day of a love affair. And I just can't imagine how much pain you have to be in if every day you're fearing for your life that that the person that you love and that you're willing to die in secret for is in love with someone else and your friends are the ones and she's not listening to them. She's like, my friend said it, they said it's not right. The act of saying it is not right to be in this position and the act of like her friends are pleading with her to be like, this is not fair for you to live like this. You shouldn't like have to live in fear of this active betrayal of like actively being stabbed over and over again.
And
um
again, this is us telling you if you're in a relationship like this, please run.
yeah, listen to your friends, like they're right, it's not right and it's not fair. And also I was just thinking, and I don't know if I texted you this, Hannah, I don't even know if I said this, but do you guys remember when I was talking about my boy breaks all his favorite toys, and I said, I think there's somebody she's talking to, she's not talking to the boy maybe, but there's somebody she's talking to, that she's pleading with them to be like, you should have seen him when he first saw me. And it feels like I feel so strongly that when she was like, and my friend said it isn't right, when they were saying that, she was saying, but you should have seen him when he first saw me. Like,
A
it's, I know I'm broken, I'm in pain, and I'm fearing for the life of our relationship, but you should have seen him when he first saw me. Um, and he loved me like I was brand new then. But she was like living in fear and the way she sings it, like y'all, the way she sings it, like go back and just play that one line of her, like she's shaking and she's like, every day of a love affair, every breath, like she's barely even breathing, like she's barely breathing. She's like, I feel lucky to breathe because I don't even know if you want to be with me anymore.
So let me go through it again with my little. I'm going to add on to that. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, the death imagery continues, right? This whole going down with the ship, the dying grip is crazy. the tolerated is tolerating this quiet resentment that she feels throughout the whole song about this
She
older
sits
male.
and watches him.
Yeah, right. And for me, the every breath is so sad. She's literally holding her breath because she thinks that she might do something wrong. Like that fear that you have of being on your tiptoes to, like, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I do the wrong thing? And that triggers the next fight. That triggers the end. Like she had to live in perpetual
Walking on
anxiety.
eggshells every
Walking on
day. And
eggshells.
she
That's
said it every single day.
yeah.
There is respite. There's no respite. And she literally is going to repeat this and fresh out the slammer how there's no respite. Like
Yeah.
that's how bad it was.
Yeah. And
This restricted community that she was in.
yeah, and she felt, and we already know, from the first verse, right? Because of all, we know that that happened. Like her back was broken, her spine split. She caught the chill. Like it was so terrible in that last stage of their relationship.
Like just every breath feels like rare air. You need breath to live. And she's like, I can't live. And
And
then we go on and she gets into her accusatory where she's like, so that so is so accusatory.
hold on. Oh,
She's pointing a finger.
before we go there, I just want to point out that line right before. It turns back to he for just that one line where she's just so mad. She stops addressing him and she's just like does a
Yeah.
little mini soliloquy, and then she's like, and then
Yeah.
go back to the so. Now
Like,
say that again.
she's like, no, literally, she like turns to the side. She's like, my friends say it isn't like she's basically turned. She goes, you were holding tight to your quiet resentment, and then she turns and she looks out at the audience or whatever. She's like, my friends said it isn't right that I'm scared that that you're cheating on me, and it isn't right that I cannot breathe when you're not sure if he, and she's like turning back, she's like, he, this one wants to be there. And then she points at his chest and is like, so how much sad? Like she's angry.
Yes.
She's pointing, she's got her finger in his chest. Did you think I could have hold on? How long could me be a sad song? How long? Till we are too far gone to bring back to life.
I literally wrote
How
that down.
literally? And then I just wrote, okay, I and then just how low did you think I'd go before I'd self implode? And I wrote in big letters, boom. Before there's an autonomy in the violence she's going to choose. And when she lets go, she's going to erupt and it's going to be ugly.
Yep. I
Because she was so low. She went so low. Like he compressed her so tight. Have you ever seen those images of like what happens when you split an atom? And that's how you get
You mean
nuclear.
nuked like in a microwave?
Yeah, that's how you get nuclear fission. Just how compressed can she get? How low down can she get before she literally self implodes and it's gonna be bloody and messy? And she goes, before I have to go be free. And we get this thinking immediately sending to fresh out the slammer, right? And she becomes self destructive. She became self destructive and she blew up because of just how low he made her go. And then, can I continue and read the next like verse?
Oh, hold on. Let me do a little bit
You
right
go, you
before.
go, you go.
So, in the summation poem, right? You see the pendulum swings. Oh, the chaos it brings leads the caged beast to do the most curious things, right? To do the self implosion, right? I also was reminded a lot about the tolerated bridge. What would if I took this dagger in me and removed it? Um, what's the beginning of the tolerated
Uh,
bridge?
gain the weight of you and lose it. Take this dagger in me and remove it. Hold on. Gain the weight of you and lose it. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna pull it up.
Yeah,
Y'all,
pull it up.
I'm too angry to think. I'm too angry to think. I'm mad again. Every time I listen to this song, I get filled with so much rage. Okay, here we go. The bridge, and it's not the bridge. Like the bridge is like, what happened to that guy who used to love
Oh
me,
yeah.
right? And she's like, I was just begging for footnotes in the story of your life, drawing hearts in the bylines. And she's like, and oh, this is the part of tolerated that connects to this. Always taking up too much space or time. And it's like that's that walking on eggshells where she's like, I was taking up too much space. So I have to live in like this fear and then break free and leave us in ruins.
Yep.
Took this dagger in me and removed it, gained the weight of you, then lose it. Believe me, I could do it. If it's all in my head, tell me now. Tell me I've got it wrong somehow. I know my love should be celebrated, but you tolerate it. So it's like, she's like, listen, if I gotta tear us apart, it's gonna hurt both of us and it's going to be ugly, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
And the other connection
she,
I made to this was
yeah,
You're Losing Me, where I'm getting tired even for a phoenix mending all her gashes.
yeah.
Because
And Phoenix is
literally,
beautiful when they blow up.
and phoenixes, yeah, they self immolate, right? They literally
Yeah,
light themselves on fire to be reborn and to be renewed. Now, we know that her rebirth was also painful, as the rest of the album shows, but that was like, that's the point where I have to literally destroy myself and try to find a new me.
like she has to destroy it because I'm thinking of Death by a Thousand Cuts. She's like, my heart, my hips, my body, my love. Trying to find a part of you can take up. She's like, he takes up everything. I just need to self implode so I can go be free. In order for me to be free, I have to explode and tear everything down, tear down all the stars. It's in that poem. She's like, I tore down the whole sky.
She
Um,
tore down the whole sky. Oof.
uh,
Oh,
anyway,
wait, let me read that. Let me read that. Let me read that. Tried
yeah.
wishing on comets, tried dimming the shine, tried to orbit his planet. Some stars never align. And in one conversation, I tore down the whole sky. Now you
I'm
can read
about
the
to
next
cry.
section. Don't cry.
So we into this part and it just breaks my heart because we see where she dies in the song. Like she tells us. And she's like, before she self-imploded, because she was already dead, she just goes, you swore that you loved me, but where were the clues? I died on the altar waiting for the proof. You sacrificed us to the gods of your bluest days. And I'm just getting color back into my face. I'm just mad as hell because I loved this place. And here's the thing, here's where the shift happens. I loved this place. And the way she sings it, she's like, in exclamation points, I loved this place for so long, London. So the place is London. I loved this place for so long, London. I had a good run. She's talking to London again. Like she opens up talking to London and she closes talking to London. Had a good run, a moment of warm sun. Ugh, but I'm not the one. So long, London. Stitches undone. Two graves, one gun. You'll find someone. Goodbye, London. You're going to find someone. Because she loved this place. And this is the only time in the song. And I'm working on a theory that this is one of the like a couple of the only times in the album where she gets told she's loved by someone else and she doesn't say it back, but she says something else. So here she even goes, you swore that you loved me, thinking LOML, said I'm the love of your life, right? Where were the clues? And then she says, I died. And at first, when you get that, it's like, oh, she was a statue that like crumbled. She was made to wait. But then you find out very quickly she didn't die a natural waiting death. He killed her. And sacrifices are bloody, like bloody and violent and disastrous. And she says, I didn't just die of waiting. It wasn't about the fact that I was just waiting at the altar. It's the fact that you laid me out on this altar and stuck a dagger in me and just gutted me on the altar to the gods of your bluest days. It didn't even matter. It wasn't about the one glimmer of warm sun can save us. It couldn't save them because he killed them. Um, and then but here's the thing: she wasn't shot. Obviously, she wasn't shot because she told us she's not shot. She told us how she was killed, and she's like, and now she's getting color back. She's just getting color back, and as she says it, she gets angrier because she's like, I'm just getting color back, and that just is like it took so long for me to start not fading away anymore. That I'm finally like coming back to life into my face. And she's mad. It's no longer pissed. Like it is like stumping. I'm mad because you're making me leave this place that I loved. I love and she loved it for so long. And
Yeah.
then in that final part, she's like, I loved. place for so long, as in I loved London for a long time, and then she says goodbye, London. You'll find someone like.
No, that was so good. I loved every second of that. I agree with so many of that. I think the things that stuck out to me were like, how could you like the fact that she can't even see a hint of his love by the end? Like, but where were the clues? Not even clues, not even tiny little breadcrumbs that showed love. That's so sad, right? The isolation that we talked about earlier, right? That the altar being
Yeah,
used for both the wedding altar and a sacrificial altar was insane. That was an insane connection that she made. Where yeah, I think yeah, she
yeah,
it reminds me actually a little bit about the story of Abraham and Isaac. So this is a biblical story in Genesis
yeah.
where God commands Abraham to sacrifice his son. And Isaac is like, "Hey, Dad, where are we going?" And Abraham's like, we're going to worship the Lord." And the Isaac's like, "But where's the ram for the altar?" And Abraham's like, God's gonna provide it. Don't worry about it." And then they climb to the top of the mountain, and Abraham literally ties up his son and places him on the altar. And Isaac's probably like, "What the hell is going on?" And right before Abraham's about to slay his son, God sends an angel to be like, "Stop! Like I see that you trust me, love me." And there's a ram stuck in a bush, and so then they kill that. And I know Isaac had crazy trauma from that, but
No, you just
in this version,
Hannah.
hold on, in this version, he actually gets sacrificed, actually does die. No one saves her. She gets sacrificed. Sorry, I think the camera or
Yeah.
slash microphone cut off Exquisite again just
No, hold on. No, okay, because like, listen, especially when you do the Abraham, I'm gonna turn my camera off because it's getting real pathetic. Hold on. When you do, when you pull out that Abraham metaphor, like, let me tell you something, because the I died on the you swore that you love me for where would the proof? Like you gotta imagine they are going up this hill, and she's mentioned this hill. They're climbing this mountain together, and as she is like carrying the weight of the rift and carrying them up the hill with all this weight, he keeps saying, "I love you." Like you squeeze my hand as I'm about to leave. Like he just keeps saying, "I love you," and she's looking around for these clues, and she's believing him, even though she's looking for the clues. And they get to the altar and he's like, okay, wait, let me go get the clues, or like, let me get them. And instead of being like something that can reassure her, he ties her down and just and kills her. He kills her on the altar because his gods demanded it.
mm-hmm.
And he, at the end of the day, he was going to choose them over her. Didn't matter how much work she did. And it didn't matter that she did so like that she was so cold from like having to hold them together. She was so tired and she was so scared. Um like she was just walking on eggshells. She was scared, but she trusted him enough to wait on the altar
Mm-hmm.
and he
There's
killed her. Oh my god.
so
That was
I
so
grew up in very evangelical circles, and so one of the things that they say too is like Abraham by this time was a really old dude. He was like 80s, 90s, more hundreds. I mean, he's really old. It's part of the
so
story.
Isaac had to build his own altar.
He Isaac built his own altar.
Literally did all the work. And he just trusted the person who said he loved him enough.
Yeah. Isaac was the promised child, right? This was Abraham's like legacy. Like God told him, "I will
He
build
was fated
nations."
for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
his promised child
Mm-hmm.
that was going to they were going he that was how God was going to fulfill like their like covenant basically. Like this
Mm-hmm.
was through him. It was going to be through him. And so like in the story, Abraham, the difference is in the story is that Abraham does not want to do it, but he's going to,
Mm-hmm.
and then he stopped. So they're like, you proved it. It's okay. That was the clue. Like you had to prove something. Um, and then it's like, and I'm thinking that renegade connection of like, you let all your damage me. And he acted instead of helping, or like, and she can't call for help anymore. Like she's so isolated and alone because she's like, her friends are like, hey, you need to stop being scared. And she's like, you're leaving me alone in this house. You left me alone at the altar, and that's where I died after you killed me. I'm getting so angry. I can't stop crying now. Like this is so, it's so much. And the way she sings it, where she sings like, and I am so like, yes, you're allowed to be angry. This is not right. And
Yeah.
she knows it's not right. And she's like, I'm mad. And she doesn't say I'm mad because I loved you and you betrayed me. She says I'm mad because I loved this place. I
Yeah.
loved London. This was my home and I have to leave it
Yeah.
because you killed.
This was the life she chose, right? She chose to move.
Yeah,
She chose his
everything
friends. They
that
watched
she chose.
rugby together, right? London Boy. She uh, picked up British sayings, right? I'm thinking about that British Vogue interview she did, and also just even words like fortnight that she adds to her
And now
songs.
it's a foreign land to her.
Hmm.
Like it's a foreign land. Like it's so distant. And it's so much more when you realize that London was the place that she ran off to after she was hurt so deeply and she felt such a like it used to be a safe place and now it's the place where she died. Like it was the place where not just died, it's the place where she was sacrificed, where she was killed,
Yeah,
and where she was held, where she was isolated. Like it's crazy to run to a place and it becomes home and then for that home to become empty,
yeah,
and lifeless, and there's nothing you can do to where like you just have to stop giving CPR because you're just hurting yourself even more.
yeah.
um and she even acknowledges it. She's like, had a good run. It was good. It was good until it wasn't. And you know the funny thing about a good run,
Hmm.
if you've ever ran, like if you've ever like sometimes I'll be like if I'm on the treadmill or I'm going for a walk, I will randomly become aware that when I stop running, it's going to hurt so bad.
Yeah.
I know once I stop, it's going to hurt.
Because when you're running, you have the high, right? You have all the endorphins
Yeah.
and stuff.
You know you're going to be in so much pain. And even if it's a good run, it's going to hurt. Like, you know, the second you stop, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And then, but,
And I love the a
but I'm
moment.
not the one.
Oh, well, before that, I love the moment of warm sun because London is famous for being like cloudy and
Yeah.
gloomy.
You,
And so
yeah,
she again plays into that and be like, there's only one single day or moment of warmth. Like, it's so sad how this relationship has clouded, like, I'm sure the many sunny days, metaphorically,
yeah,
that she had.
yeah. Like, and so just one moment. And I wrote down that we also know that she is talking about London. She's talking to London again because she brings back that bell thing she was doing where she starts repeating after every word.
Yeah.
Um,
And she says, you'll find someone. So back to the you'll find someone, not the I'll find someone.
yeah. So like I'm not gonna like immediately shut down the idea that she's like, oh, London is Joe. But I think there is for her there is so much autonomy in the fact that she splits him apart, especially at the end. She goes this place, she's like, I am not making this you anymore. I loved this place,
Yeah.
not you. She doesn't say I love you. And this is so interesting because it immediately reflects in Loss of My Life, that song. She never says I love you there either. She says you're the loss. She didn't say you're the love of my life.
Hmm.
um Again, you told me you love me, but where were the clues, right? Like,
Yeah. And so another thing I like
and
about
it's the
this,
one time
it's the one part what?
in the the only time she says love in the song
Yeah.
is because here's the thing. She didn't need to say love. She doesn't need to say that she loved him because she paints us a picture of all the clues of how much she loved him. She already gave us her clues.
Yeah. Her proof.
Yeah, she gave us the proof.
So for me, what I like about this ending is that it does have the bells like we had in the beginning, and then now this repetition bellish thing at the end. And the ones in the beginning are very, I want to say, light. They're
Yeah.
very churchy, very sad, but still kind of a little has a little brightness. But the end, like this, so long, like this is dark and heavy and ominous. And she's really pulling away and leaving. And so if you haven't, I would recommend you read The Bells by Edgar Allan Poe. He
Yeah.
does an amazing job of using both imagery, but also the rhyming scheme that he has, where he describes different bells. There's silver bells, there's golden bells, then there's brazen alarm bells, and each of them gets like the alarm bells really sound scary, and then at the end there's tolling bells, iron bells, which are like death, and you can see how Taylor, in a similar vein, uses both the words and the production and sounds to change the bells in the song.
Yeah. And I'm like still I'm crying. This is so sick and twisted, the fact that I'm crying. But it just makes me feel so bad because love should not hurt. And I think she's aware of it. Like her friends, like just the fact that she had people outside being like, you should not be in this much pain. Like you shouldn't, it's not fair. It isn't right. And the fact that she says it isn't right is so important that they're telling her, like, it isn't right for you have to do this. And they're just, oh, this song is just so violent. We haven't had a song that's not violent.
Well,
We haven't had a
yes. Well, yes. Yeah, and I think when I first heard this song, it was so powerful in how direct it was. I think up to this point there was a lot of metaphors, like the alien abduction, the my boy playing with his toys, but this one
uh-huh.
is,
She brought us back to her.
yeah, much more personal, much more. There's aren't huge. She does anthropomorphize London, but it's still such a visceral song. On a personal note, my husband's favorite song is London Boy. And so when he heard the song, he was like, I'm never hearing London Boy live.
I think she's still gonna sing London Boy, and I think it would be so silly if she figured out a way how to mash them up.
Yes,
I don't know how.
but even then, it's not the same. Like,
Uh,
it's never gonna be like the BBC version she did, where she was like light and happy and like, like giggling along. It's
Never again. London, you are dead to her. Actually,
no,
London is not dead to her. Not the city.
not the city. So
Uh,
I really think it'll be hard, but actually very cathartic for her to be back in London. Well, she was back for Beyonce's Renaissance movie. Remember, that
yeah.
was like a big deal. We were like, oh, like Queen supporting Queens, but also the fact that she was back in London. And I think her being back for the tour will actually show her like there are places that were not touched. There are new Londons to explore.
And you know what's crazy? Like you go back and you look at London Boy, and she's like, she literally says, like a child when our eyes meet, to you let me give you all that youth, right? And then she's like in London Book, she's listing all the things that she's like, I love about London. And so we understand this loss now where it's like, she's like, I love my hometown, but she left it all because, oh,
Yeah, she really genuinely loved London town. And so, yeah, I think it is very sad. So, yeah, what should the emoji be this week, Exquisite? Should it be a sheep or.
I don't even know. Actually, it actually should be a sheep. Is there
No, but I looked it up while
for
you were crying. It was, there is both a sheep and a ram. So if you do a sheep or a ram as a reply, we will know that you have gotten to the Abrahamic reference. It's so long, London.
yeah, it's just so sick. Like it's not fair. And I sent Hannah a voice note once. I was listening to So Long London and I just started weeping and I sent Hannah this voice note. And I sound ridiculous crying. But I'm like, it's just really not fair that we know she did all this and she doesn't even she doesn't have to tell us that she doesn't have to say I loved him because like we understand that she did this because she loved him. Like she points out that she did from the very first line, I saw in my mind fairy lights through the mist. So through all of this, she saw what they could have been, and that's why she kept going. And she was doing all the work, and she wasn't even met halfway or part way. She wasn't met anyway. She was doing all this work while being left alone, and that is just not fair, and it's not right, and it just really upsets me.
Okay, that just
The
reminded
idea.
me something I told you in our conversation that I saw in my mind fairy lights to the mist, like that whole Christmas imagery.
Yeah.
When was You're Losing Me written? In December of 2021, when there would be fairy lights.
And the thing is, she could have kept those fairy lights up till January. Like she would have left them up. Cause and one of the things that was so like special about like if you look in the songs in Lover and Reputation and even like Evermore Folklore, all she wanted to sit with him in the trenches. She wanted to be where he was. Like, can I go where you go? Um, I just want to be with you. Stick with me. I just want to be with you. Renegade, she's like, even in Renegade, where she's like, hey, get your shit together so I can love you. I just want to be with you. I'll help you. If I knew how many pieces you had shattered into, I might have let them lay. But she's like, I will help you. And he used to get like there were signals back, like the squeeze my hand 3 times in the back of a taxi. You squeeze my hand as I'm about to leave. Like that is, I think that's the most sinister part is that when she was looking for the clues, at some point he just stopped. He stopped squeezing her hand and just left her alone. The one thing she wanted was to not be left alone, and he left her in the house by the heath. That and she doesn't say home like she like that used to be the home like, but she was left. It's not a home. It's just a
Oh
house.
my God.
It's a house
Jaw
because guess
dropped.
what? Home is where the heart is,
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
not there anymore.
Oh my God. You're
It's
right.
her tortured heart. Like it's not there anymore, Hannah.
Oh my gosh. That's another crazy London boy connection. Dang.
This is so sick.
Yeah, and I think that's why the Stitches Undone is so powerful because it's not just the
Yeah.
stitch from the person, it's the unstitched from the city. Hence the
Yeah.
two graves, right? It's back to
Yeah.
back.
It's
Um,
stitches. It's
the
girl. She has to take them all out.
yeah, the death
And I
of
imagine,
both.
yeah, I imagine it just must be so painful. Like it has to be painful to remove your own stitches. There's no help.
Yeah,
You have to remove them. You have to unstitch you two together. The thing is, Stitch is undone. She's like, I have to do it because you won't. You killed me on the altar, but he left her on the altar, is the thing.
yeah,
Like he left her there. He didn't try. Like the act of saying, I'm just getting color back. She's like, I had to do it myself. Like I had to pick myself up
yep,
and get color back. I
yeah,
have to leave. I
yeah.
have to be the one to leave
The
because
Stitches Undone, like it bled her out. The sacrifice bled
yeah,
her out, but
yeah, yeah.
she crawled away and recovered and is now like
Yeah. And that's how we know she's not in that grave. It's not, she's not in the grave, is the thing.
yeah, the
She's
relationships
living,
are.
she's getting color back,
Yeah.
but her relationships to those two things are irreparably in she buried them.
Dead and gone and
Um,
buried.
yeah. And it's just so interesting. And I feel like something that we need to track, I think, through the album. We can start now because I think this is the first time it comes up of who is saying I love you to who
Ooh.
and
Well,
when
no,
is
let's
I love
no
you.
in TTPT title track, Who's Gonna Love You Like Me, right? There's
Yeah.
that. In My Boy, it's like he runs because he says he loves me. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that when he runs, it's because he
I
loves
tell
me.
you that he runs because he loves
So yeah,
me.
but he doesn't necessarily say it. She says it's because of,
Mhm.
right? And Down Bad, I'm gonna look it up really quick. I can't think. I don't know if you said you're the chosen one.
Yeah, and down bad they don't even like she it's they tell her she's chosen one and special.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
there's no that she says cuz fuck it, I was in love. She says that, but again, there's
mhm.
no like
I was in love.
yeah.
There's no direct I love you. Like there's no I don't think there's an I love you in the title track. She just like who's gonna hold you. Like she gives us clues of what maybe love because that is just that's a thing. That's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, and down bad it's not there. But she's like what if I was in love or I was in love? Fuck it, I was in love.
Exactly.
Um, but there is no like there's so
A declaration, yeah.
I think that's gonna be interesting to track. Um, because again, the only time she says it, and she says it with such venom when she spits it out, is I loved this place. Like I cannot stress enough how much Taylor's vocal performance makes this song.
Yeah. Cuz you
I cannot
feel
stress it enough.
she because these words are so strong and they could not fit, but her voice makes them fit, as in like they could
He
fall
forces
flat, but she's so forceful. Yeah.
like he's House by the Heat doesn't rhyme with anything. I left I left all I knew, you left me at the house by the heath. But the way she sings it, she goes, left all I knew, you left me at the house, and she like extends it and then goes by the heath.
Yeah, and
Like
later
she does.
it has like an imperfect rhyme with free at the end of the stanza,
Mhm.
but still, yeah, like it's the rhyming scheme in this is amazing. If you guys want to break out your highlighters, you could totally do it.
Like you absolutely just have to hear her sing. Because here's the thing, she doesn't even get right into the song immediately. She rings those bells,
Hmm.
and then we've got like a solid 3 seconds of a build up. And then it just keeps building. And you know what it feels like? It feels like she's making us, the listener, be Sisyphus and push up that mountain, and we get no relief either.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there is no relief.
yeah.
The song just ends. It just like the beat just ends. It stops. Like, and it's just so
I think that was good.
I'm like, yeah.
what's
I'm
what's the
like
what's
holding
the what's
myself.
the next song?
Our next song is definitely But Daddy, I Love
Oh
Him.
yeah, yeah. No,
And
yeah. We will see.
more
The
anger.
the self implosion come
Yeah.
to life here. The
I think we're about to go on a self-implosion. We're going on a self-implosion arc.
Yes.
Um and I think, oh yeah, we're so going on a self-implosion arc. From But Daddy, I Love Him
Yeah, that's what I think. Like this, the first five
to Guilty
songs.
as Sin. We're imploding.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first five songs this cycle is like really fascinating, right? We had the Fortnight as the intro, then we had the Tortured Poets Department, followed by the Twins, seeing like this mini cycle, and now we're gonna see
Yeah.
a new kind of storyline unfold after this So Long London chapter ends.
Yeah.
So
'Cause- Yeah, I would say, yeah, literally as the So Long London chapter ends, because the So Long London chapter is where she's like, yeah, no, we've got the twins of like the love bombing and the hurting her. And then she's like, I'm pissed off. And
yeah,
now I'm about to get violent.
yeah, make some bad decisions.
Make some terrible, terrible decisions and get even more violent and get sent to prison and get so sad. And
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, this episode was recorded a little early, so if there are any developments about the song, we'll put a little disclaimer or something. But
if she sings it live before this comes out, I don't think she will, but
yeah,
she's
um,
unpredictable and sneaky.
she is.
Um,
Welcome to New York in Sweden. It happens. Um, so yeah, if you have any questions, comments, please tag us. Again, use a sheep or a ram to let us know that you
yeah.
enjoy the episode, I guess.
And sorry, you guys had to listen to me cry.
No, we love all the emotions. And yeah, it's it's so nice. So thank you all again. Thank you to Aleph Vernon once again for doing our beautiful image. Follow him on Patreon, and we will see you guys very soon.